Okay. Hi, my name's Mandy. This is my very first YouTube video, so it's pretty awkward talking to a camera, so if I seem a little off, that's the reason. And I'm going to be looking over here because I had to write everything down so I didn't forget any parts, but it's not like a script, but whatever. Anyways, so in this video I'm going to be talking about kratom, my experience with it, my experience with the withdrawals, what I think of it now based on that experience, etc., etc. For those of you who do not know what kratom is, it is a plant that acts on the opioid receptors. It can act like a sedative or a stimulant, and it's legal in many states in the U.S. You can get it at any gas station or smoke shop pretty much, and it is sold in powder, caps, and extract shots. I discovered kratom in March 2019, and I started using it to try to quit drinking because I've been an alcoholic since 15. I'm 28 now. I also used it for a depression and anxiety medication, and I honestly did also use it to try to get a semi-legal high, or a legal semi-high. So for my first few months after I discovered it, I was using it on and off, and I could basically take it or leave it. It didn't really matter, and it did help a lot. Like, it took the anxiety away, it took the depression away, and I was like, okay, this is like my medication. So like a medication that you have to take every day, I have to take it every day, and it turned into an everyday thing. It became a daily necessity. My required dose skyrocketed very quickly. I was completely dependent on it, and I was defending it to no end. People would say like negative things about it, and just like most of the pro-kratom crowd, I would say there's no downsides. It's purely positive. It's like a miracle cure-all, all that stuff that you hear from the pro-kratom crowd. I told you I'm not so good with the camera thing yet, so bear with me here. So December 2019 to July 2020 of this year was the height of my intake. I was taking roughly 8 tablespoons per day, which is about 50 grams per day. And July 1st, this event happened, this big life-changing event. My ex moved out, and something about that day caused my required dose to dramatically drop randomly. The dose that I was used to suddenly made me feel sick, and about 1/3 of that made me feel really good again, when kratom hadn't made me feel like good or euphoric in a long time. So that was like really cool. I was like, okay, so I require less of this now. That was like a little random reset, but slowly my tolerance built back up again, and it rapidly increased, and I got back up to roughly an ounce a day, so like about 28-30 grams a day. I was taking about a 2-gram teaspoon every 2 hours, 1 to 3 hours ish. Every day at this point I would wake up in withdrawals, and for me, I was in mental fog. I had zero energy, completely sluggish. There was a very heavy sadness that was just like sticky and you can't get away from it. It's just there all the time. And I wasn't like brought to life yet. I was like in zombie mode until I had my first dose, which was right after waking up. So I would take it every 2-ish hours, 1 to 3, and about every 2 hours my brain would just let me know that it's time for my next dose, because I start going down like this, and if I reached like the 4-hour mark without taking it, I would definitely be like crying a lot. It was bad. I lost my place. Give me a second. So yeah, it started out great. It turned on me like it does for a lot of people. I needed it just to function. Much of the time I still felt shitty even when I would take my dose. The effectiveness was random and all over the place. My anxiety and panic attacks were actually increasing. The depression was worsening. My mind was going to darker places than it ever has before. I was borderline delusional and irrational at times. I had some really crazy thoughts. I do chalk it up to the kratom for sure, because I never thought things like this before. I would randomly think like people are plotting against me, or like that someone's gonna kill me. Like, it sounds nuts, I swear, I'm not making it up though. Like, that legit happened to me, and I knew it was just irrational, but then part of me was like, but what if it's not, you know? So the reasons that I started taking it, it was worsening. The depression, the anxiety, like my mind was just getting all fuckered up. Some physical things that were going on. I would feel random electrical shocks throughout my body. It would just feel like random electrical shocks. It wasn't painful, but I don't know how else to explain it. My face, hands, or feet would randomly go numb. My face aged significantly in the year that I was heavily taking kratom. I used to get guessed at 16, 17, 21 at the oldest when I was 27. And then, like, other people noticed it too. Like, my skin rapidly aged, and a lot of other people with their kratom experience have said the same thing of their skin. There would be periods of days where I was in, like, I guess a dissociation. It was like I was detached, I was like out of touch, I couldn't fully wake up, I felt like I wasn't here, like nothing's really real. I'm like trying everything I can to get myself to wake up and like snap back to reality. It wasn't happening. I was just kind of floating through the day like, why don't I feel like I'm awake? It's really bad. That used to happen to me a lot when I was a little kid. Not so much as an adult, but kratom brought that back. So I finally decided to quit for many reasons. The main reasons were my mind was getting worse, my skin was aging rapidly, there were weird random physical symptoms I had not had before. I was told, I'm in recovery for alcoholism, and I was told by multiple people that if I'm taking kratom, I'm not technically sober, so there's that. I was wasting a lot of money on it. I felt it was definitely harming my brain and my body. I didn't want to be a slave to anything anymore, like no more addictions. So I had all these reasons to quit, so I was like, all right, let's do this. So I made the jump cold turkey on December 2nd. I was not planning to do it that soon, but I just took my last dose and I was like, okay, that's it. I'm done. So bear with me here. Usually I would wake up in withdrawals, it's mental and emotional, and I also would be like really low energy, but for the first 24 hours after quitting, I actually felt like better than ever, which was really unexpected and weird. I was like, okay, I get to, surpass all the withdrawals and I'm just good to go now. That was not actually the case. The second night, I broke down crying. I was irrational. Every fear that I have was completely amplified. I was convinced I had cancer, cervical cancer. I was like, there's something wrong with me, like I'm gonna die, like I'm never gonna fix my life, like all these things. Like I felt trapped, and it was like I've never been that low before, and that was about 24 hours after quitting. For the first week, the first 7 days, there were waves of heavy, extreme, intense, like horrifying depression that I've never felt before. There was waves of anxiety, not so much panic attacks like I was used to having, but just this anxiety that's just with me all the time. And I would have random glimpses of like, oh, I feel really good, I think it's over. And that was like a tease, just I'd be whacked with the depression again. It was all over the place. So it was like tricking me. Yeah, I wasn't able to think, focus. It was just very dark and gloomy. I can't like think, I'm really nervous with this camera, but like I'm really understating things here. It was just really bad. Like, just trust me, it was really, really bad. I've been to some dark places in my head, and that was about the worst. Like, if I didn't know it was just withdrawals, I probably would have ended up not good. But so let's see. The not being able to get comfortable at night, I heard a lot of that in the Quitting Kratom support group. That didn't hit for me until about night 4, and then that got really bad. Couldn't sleep, couldn't get comfortable, but like that was nothing compared to, it was mostly the emotional and mental torment that was really, really bad. But I guess they call it restless leg syndrome, that lasted until about day 10. I've never been to a worse place in my head than that before, so it was really bad. So here's the problem. Many people in the pro-kratom community, not all of them, but many of them, heavily censor the truth. They say that it's no more addictive than coffee, that there are no withdrawals. If there are, it's a minor cold that lasts no more than 3 days, blah, blah, blah. That's complete bullshit. When I would tell my experience in these pro-kratom groups, I would get ridiculed and my post would be deleted. I would be threatened that I was going to be kicked out of the group. And that same thing has happened to lots of other people that wanted to share their negative experiences. Like, that's not allowed. You can only say good things. For many people, tolerance builds very quickly. You need more and more for this, a higher and higher dose for the same effects, even if that's not to get high. If you're just taking it for depression or anxiety, like, it's not going to work. When you used to need a teaspoon, now you need a tablespoon. And it gets to the point where you have 3 options. When your required dose is so high, you can either take the amount that your body and brain requires in order to function, or you can be in 24/7 withdrawals, or you can choose to quit, go through the acute withdrawals, and finally get past the whole thing. You can't, like, for a lot of people, you can't just lessen your dose because your tolerance is not going to work that way, Seriously, pardon my awkwardness with the camera thing, like I'm brand new to this, but Thing is, everybody's brain is different, so it depends on the person, their brain, the dose, the amount of time they've been on it. Some people have no withdrawals at all. Some people have terrible extended withdrawals that last months. Some people can benefit and maintain a low dose, and some people cannot, and they will become a slave and be very harmed by this stuff. So I think that it should remain legal. I'm not trying to help kratom to become banned. It has its purpose in place, and it greatly helps a lot of people. So awkward here. The full truth, the full range of possibilities needs to be readily available and not hushed and deleted. And we need to not only spread good things, and censor and hush many people's real experiences, but all the potential risks need to be greatly put out there and allowed to be out there without being deleted. And stop guaranteeing that it's not addictive and there's no withdrawals, because that is straight bullshit. It just is. Who it's good for, in my opinion, this is just opinion. It's good for addicts getting off harder drugs for a short term, with the intention of tapering off, for getting off pills, getting off heroin, whatever. It's good for people that must choose between plant and pills. So for a person that has, either chronic pain or a severe situation mentally where other options have been exhausted or whatever, a lot of times it is preferable to choose the plant over the pharmaceutical pills. That's just a case-by-case thing. It's not right for everybody, but everybody's different. Like I said, some people can stick to that low dose forever and not have weird side effects. It's very versatile or whatever. So it's not good for a long-term depression and or anxiety solution. In most cases, I would say, unless somebody has exhausted all of their options, nothing's working, their quality of life is just really low, yada yada, like that's not for me or anyone else to judge. For some people, it might be a good solution. From my experience, it was not a good solution for me. And it's not good for long-term use by people with addictive personalities. Their brains are wired differently. I'm one of them. That's an all or nothing mindset. You need more. It's going to become a complete dependence, addiction, spiral out of control type of situation. It is a drug. Coffee is too. A lot of things are, whatever. But people like that, people like me, do best to stay away from all substances. Not necessarily coffee, but kratom is actually related to coffee. Anyways, once again, awkward video thing. Working with it. People deserve full information to know all of the risks, the pros, the cons, the full range of possibilities, plenty of real experiences to need to be able to sort through all these different experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever, to be able to make a fully informed decision. Because many people jump into kratom based on lies, like I did and like many others did. That's not fair, that's not right. I am far, far from the only one with this experience. I am in a group full of hundreds of others that have very similar stories. From the start, the early kratom phase, the period where it got bad or turned, as people like to say, the withdrawals, etc., etc. Some people have minor withdrawals or none for a few days. Some are far worse. Like, everybody's different. Everybody's brain's different. Everybody's chemical makeup, wiring, blah, 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 is different. So it's not black and white. It's not one size fits all. If the only information that I had available to me was what they said, that there's like no withdrawals, if it's 3 days at the most, it's a minor cold, blah, 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 and then I'm over here on like, say, day 8 or 9 and I'm feeling like hell, like that's dangerous, because I would have either A, went back to the kratom, or B, exited this life, because I wouldn't want to live like that. Like, that was torture. It was really bad. I wouldn't be able to sit here and make this video if I was still at the height of that, because that was absolute torture. So if the only information available is saying that there's no withdrawals, a person is going to think, okay, this must be my natural state. This is just how I am. I'm stuck this way. There's no end in sight. Like, that's what the information available says. Fuck. So you either go back to kratom or you fucking kill yourself, or you just suffer or whatever. But seeing all these other people's experiences with all these different timelines and different symptoms, and seeing how different it could be for different people, and seeing things that I could relate to in my timeline. Okay, I'm on day 8. There's plenty of people saying they're going through XYZ like I am on day 8, day 11. that gave me hope that there's light at the end of the tunnel. This is not permanent, it's withdrawals, it's temporary, I'll get through it. That gave me the encouragement that I needed to stick it out and see it through to the other side. Again, if I didn't thoroughly know and believe that it was just withdrawals, I would have believed that that was just how my brain is and I need the kratom or I need to die. But now I'm over here on day 20, so tomorrow marks 3 weeks, and I feel absolutely phenomenal, amazing. I haven't felt this good in so long. All of my real emotions are back. I'm a very intense, excitable, passionate type of person, and all that was just numbed. It numbed all the bad things, but it also numbed all of the good things, and now I get to experience the full range of emotions again. It's really exciting. It took me until day 14 to feel right again. On day 13, I was still feeling pretty shitty. The first week was the worst. After that, I would just wake up in horrible anxiety and just not feel right. Feel like a kid that's 5 years old and your parents are forcing you to go on this huge roller coaster you don't want to go on, and they're laughing and pushing you towards the gate, and you see it roll up and it's your turn, and you're that feeling. I'd wake up in that, and I carry it with me all day. That's pretty much gone for the most part. I still get it here and there, but I'm only on day 20. Apparently there's something called post-acute withdrawal syndrome or whatever. So things like that are going to stick around for a while. I still find it hard to sleep at night, yada yada, but I feel a lot better, and I'm so glad that I quit this stuff. I really am. So that's my story. I do not want to help kratom to be banned. Again, there isn't much in the way of studies on the long-term effects. I think it should be studied more, perhaps regulated better. Definitely more information of all the potential pros, cons, risk, range of possibilities, etc. Enough information on all sides to allow for people to make fully informed decisions, because that is important. Spreading lies and censoring some people's truth is not the way to go. As per many people's real experiences, it definitely sometimes has adverse effects on hair, skin, body, brain, emotions, causes strange symptoms, etc., etc., etc. Everyone seems to be different, blah, 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 as it is with so many things. This camera thing is killing me, I swear. We just need to stop spreading blatant lies and only positive information, and hushing and ridiculing anyone sharing their true negative experience. That is unfair and misleading. I hope I get to a point where I don't need to look at something else to guide me along, but I get nervous and go blankety blank. So there are plenty of people who feel wronged for being misled right into an addiction situation, complete with an extended withdrawal nightmare, and once they are ready to leave it, I can't even read my own handwriting, but basically enough of that. So yeah, that's my experience with kratom. It started out great for the first year-ish that I was taking it on and off. The next 6 months that I was taking it daily-ish, six-ish months was all right, and then it just started turning on me slowly from there. My timeline might be a little mixed up. I don't know if that's exact. But overall, it was roughly 2 years, maybe a little less than 2 years. I don't know how to effectively wrap these things up, so I'm just gonna say goodbye now. Alright, thanks for listening.